Are you listening?
The Running Wrestling Podcast. End your week the right way fast. Step into the ring with us, no DQ, just trust. The Running Wrestling Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Running Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, Big Mike, and I am joined as always by Sped. No, Sped.
He's still crying.
As you guys
Dom
can
wasn't
see,
there
I
tonight.
am not joined by Sped today. I am joined by two very special guests. Sped could not be here. He had some family obligations. We love you, Sped. Hope everything's going okay. I am joined by two of our Gimmick Table Media friends. First off, she is the co-host of the Wrestling Divas podcast, which we hope makes its return on Tuesday with that beautiful merch on. Lady Alpha, what's going on?
Not much. It's been a busy, fun day.
Yes, ma'am. And you also see half of the Kicking Attitude podcast, the brains of the operation. We could not afford the talent, so we hope Tori is doing well wherever she's at right now. We have Michael Llewellyn from the Kicking Attitude podcast. What's going on, Michael?
That's all right. I'm cheaper than a $2. Never mind. Doing good. It was a great night. It was a great show. I think we're gonna have a nice conversation about it.
There was definitely some stuff to talk about. We will say hey to a couple people in the audience already. Herb from the Herb Garage podcast, which you guys saw the last two nights on the channel in our predictions and our Wrestling for Dummies show, who oddly enough had both winners on his fantasy team. So I will come out with official scores and everything like that in the next day or two once I calculate everything with all the eliminations, times, and everything else. But it looks like he is an early favorite to win the crown. But you'll have to wait and see on that one. What's going on, Herb? We will actually have more from Herb that I will go over here in a little bit. Extreme Chick checking in. Appreciate you coming in. Hope you enjoyed the Royal Rumble as well. Yeah, let's get right into it. No slides, everything. We'll just talk about what we saw. Kicking off with the Women's Royal Rumble. Entrant number 1 is Charlotte Flair coming to the ring. And lo and behold, entrant number 2 is her best friend. Oh, we lost Michael there. Is her best friend Alexa Bliss. I know, Lady Alpha, you're a huge fan of this tag team. How did you feel about them being number 1 and number 2 in the Rumble?
Goodness, I was nervous. I saw Alexa come out. I was nervous. I'm like, oh God, they have to wrestle each other. And then that's going to be the end of them. It still may, but they didn't wrestle each other. They basically just stood there and waited for entrant number 3. And that made me happy. So,
yeah, very entertaining how they kind of teased. Well, I may throw you out. No, I may do this, and then they did the hearts. It was pretty good. Michael, I know you dropped out for a second.
Yeah,
talking about number 1 and number 2 being the best friends of WWE. What did you think about that opening segment of the match?
I thought it was well done. I do think it may have been a little long. Like one of them should have Alexa should have milked her entrance coming out a little bit. Yeah. Maybe because them having to do the tease, and then it's like, oh shit, we're still waiting. They do the tease.
Should have done Charlotte second because Charlotte always takes Charlotte forever to come into the ring.
I do want to hear what Charlotte has to say because Charlotte seemed confused that Alexa was number 2.
Yeah, and as we learned later on, they kind of got their numbers a little earlier. It is a random draw, as we heard from Paul Heyman and Adam Pearce. We'll get to that in the men's match, but obviously they've known their numbers for a little while. I'm wondering if Alexa just didn't tell Charlotte or anything, because I saw that too. Alexa seemed like she was smiling, happy, and she kind of knew what was going on, and Charlotte was very confused.
Yeah.
And we will get one more. Brian, who was also on our pick show. What's going on, Brian? From on location, it looks like.
Yeah, on location, remote.
We were just now starting the Women's Royal Rumble match. I don't know how much. I know you've been busy. Don't know how much you got to watch. Charlotte and Alexa starting out number 1 and number 2. What'd you think about the opening segment?
About the whole Rumble in general of the Women's Rumble?
No, just that opening segment. Just those two starting number 1 and number 2 and kind of their antics.
No, yeah, I liked that part of it for sure. Like, I thought it was entertaining. That to me, the first part was that Herb. No, I mean, for me, the Women's Rumble was pretty underwhelming. I mean, to say the least, as a whole. But I do think that there was moments in the Rumble, and
Yeah.
the beginning was pretty good. I mean, Bree coming back. I mean, that was kind of, I think somebody on this panel called that or whatever. That was pretty good. That was pretty good. But I mean, ultimately, and I don't know if it was their people were expecting, a possible Page return or something like that, and you get your hopes up and you don't get it. It's kind of like, well, that's kind of underwhelming. I will say though, I wanted Liv to win from the get go, from the beginning. So I am pleased with the outcome, even though I was underwhelmed with the match itself.
Yeah, talking about the lack of surprises, the only real returns we had were Brie Bella and then Tiffany Stratton at number 30. Like you said, both were actually mentioned on the show on Thursday. Lady Alpha, I know you had mentioned Brie, and I think somebody else did too. I had actually had Tiffany Stratton on my team because I felt like she was going to come back. So obviously, we kind of knew about both of them or had rumors about both of them going into it. But like you said, it was the lack of other surprises. You mentioned Paige. A lot of people, even some of the books, sports books and things like that, had Bianca Belair winning the Royal Rumble, and she wasn't showing. She didn't show up. So yeah, I definitely can see the underwhelming part of it. Is Lady Alpha? Were you kind of the same, a little underwhelmed with the lack of surprises?
Oh yeah,
in the match.
Yeah.
Who else were you expecting other than maybe those two that we mentioned?
Well, I had two of them on my team that didn't show, on my men's team that didn't show. That was Chris Jericho, which everybody has been talking about him coming back to the WWE. His contract ended in December. I think this morning they mentioned that he was still listed on the AEW roster, but I thought, well, maybe it's a bait and switch kind of situation. Joe Hendry didn't show up, which I was really surprised about because he always shows up. And
Right.
he's kind of like Mr. Iguana. They just kind of throw him in there,
The bad thing about Joe Hendry not showing up is nobody actually said his name, so he actually couldn't appear. Contractually, he wasn't allowed to be there because nobody actually said his name.
I know that you're like, you have a process, and we'll talk about the men's in a little bit, and I don't want to go deep into anything with the men's yet, but to me, was it just me, or did it seem extremely flat with the pops that we would have gotten if these were in America? If this was in America, I feel like all the AAA, I would feel like Mr. Iguana would have got a huge pop. I feel like even La Parka would have got a huge pop in America. Heck, even Powerhouse Hobbs probably gets a pretty huge pop in America that he didn't really get that there, And I think that happened for the most part in majority of the night. I mean, it was an okay crowd. It wasn't great, in my opinion. So I don't know.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about the crowd. Michael, do you kind of agree with that? Do you think the crowd was a little subdued, which I think normally Saudi crowds are? So they had to be prepared for that. But do you think the crowd just was hurt by being in Saudi, or what do you think? What do you think it was?
I think specifically everybody Brian named. I think that's a good point. The litmus test I think you can use on that is Lash Legend. Lash Legend got a huge pop, and then of course immediately they popped with "You're overrated" as their chant. But like she was still getting that reaction, and so someone just knew up from NXT. It's obvious that they had already been inundated with her, but haven't looked into AAA. Probably don't look a lot into AEW. So that debut of a big, massive dude from AEW didn't get as big of a pop as they probably could have got. Yeah, if they'd been over here doing Vegas like they planned in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely got some. I mean, Rhea got the pop. Tiffany Stratton, when she came out, she got a pretty big pop. The ones you expect that are already popular, like you mentioned, definitely got some pops. But some of the other ones that we would normally expect is people who watch all the products in different shows and things like that wouldn't. Lydia Alpha, what was your grade for the crowd?
C, mid grade.
Okay, that's definitely fair.
I mean, that's not their fault. Let's be fair. It's not their fault if they don't know who some of these people are. I mean, when Cody came out, they sang his song while he was wrestling. His entrance had stopped, the music had stopped, but they're still singing, and they did the same thing for Randy. So I mean, we can't fault them for not knowing who La Parka is or who Mr. Iguana is, or and I can understand the opinion of Lash Legend a little bit, because she has kind of been like in your face since she came up. They're probably going to say the same about Oba and Royce at some point, but it is what it is. But it's still not their fault that they just didn't know. And I'm one of those. I'm the same way. If I don't know who that is, I'm not going to cheer for them.
Well, and not to armchair book, but we talk about the people who should have been the surprises, who should have been the people that come in. These are the same people that wanted Yokozuna the first time they went over there.
Exactly.
So like they're inundated in that product and that product alone. So maybe we leave this for more of the Trish Stratuses to come in, the Pages to come in, people that could still come in as a legend. Hell, why we've got Ron the Truth Killings acting like an idiot again. Have him come out as Ron Cena. If that music would have hit,
oh yeah,
that place would have went insane.
Yeah, that place.
And then to see him run down there.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And then you've still got AJ Lee there too. That they could have had a pop there, but obviously she wasn't there. Yeah, I just and I agree with Lady Alpha. You don't necessarily blame the crowd itself, but you have to look at Triple H as a whole in the booking team. You have to know your audience, and when you go to Saudi Arabia, people like La Parka, which I guarantee you, Sped had a huge pop. They may have heard him in Saudi Arabia when La Parka came out. It's one of his favorites down there in AAA.
That's the pop.
They may have heard. They may have heard me when Mr. Iguana came out, because obviously I'm a huge Mr. Iguana fan. You see Iguana up here behind my shoulder, our own Iguana as well. But like you guys said, it's just they're not known over there. So I 100% agree. You can't necessarily blame the crowd. You got to look at Triple H and the rest of the guys of knowing your audience. It's one of the things you learn when you're in entertainment, in any kind of business that deals with the public, is you have to know your audience. And I don't think they did this with a lot of the surprise or the pops or anything like that going through. And just a few other notes that I have written down. I want to get your speaking of kind of things that people may not know, there was a big NXT presence in the Women's Rumble. We had 4 different women in there: Lola Vice, Kalani Jordan, JC Jane, and Sol Ruka. Sol Ruka making it to the final 3. Sped even asking what the big deal with Sol Ruka was. That's the big deal with Sol Ruka. I'll start with you, Lady Alpha. You're seeing all these ladies coming up from NXT. It's got to give you some hope for the future of WWE to know that and a lot of them did get pops when they came out. It's got to give you some hope for the future going forward for the women's division of WWE.
Oh, the sky's the limit with the future with the women's division.
Yeah. Period.
JC really showed out. I was actually surprised she didn't make it further than she did. JC showed out. Of course, Soul always shows out. I'm not a big Kalani Jordan fan, so I was like, they could have picked like Zarya would have been a better choice to me.
Yeah, I agree, because that would have furthered that storyline.
And Tatum Paxley might have been an interesting addition. Thea Hale even. They have so many to choose from that they're really great and entertaining to watch. Kalani doesn't do it for me. So, I mean, I was,
on that, go ahead, finish your thoughts. Sorry.
No, I just, I was pleasantly surprised by all of their performances. Really, even Kalani did okay. Even though I wasn't happy to see her there, but she did okay. And yes, the sky is the limit. The women's division is only going to continue to get better and better.
Yep. Before we continue, we will go in with Zach. It is National Hot Chocolate Day, which I know if you're anywhere in the U.S. right now, it's freezing cold, so we could all use some hot chocolate. So very appropriate that it is Hot Chocolate Day here.
I will make me some after the show.
Speaking of NXT and some of the ladies there, I want to talk about some of the stories that we did see develop from the Rumble, and I'll start with you, Michael. The main one I saw was Sol Ruka and JC Jane, with Sol eliminating JC. Do you think this starts a program with them for the NXT Women's title down in NXT going forward?
I do hope so. I caught that too, but I also caught like JC giving some trash talk to Kalani when she threw her out. So it's like, which one do we go with? The one that she ruined Kalani's choices, or Soul ruined JC's options? It could bring something up. I do think Soul is very close to being called up, so that could be a good send off for her if we just say, okay, let's have her do one quick run with the women's title before we get her up there, give her a little bit of validity. So I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I could definitely see them maybe at the next PLE having a match and Soul winning it and holding it till around Stand and Deliver around WrestleMania season and getting called up right after that. That seems like pretty decent timing at this point. Brian, another story that we saw come out, and you mentioned it earlier, the Brie Bella of it all. And as a whole, that creates another tag team for the women's tag team division. That was a really big focus, it seemed like, on the Royal Rumble was women's tag teams. Are you, and kind of the same question, are you hopeful for the women's tag team division coming out of the Royal Rumble with so much focus being on the groups instead of the individuals, or do you think it fizzles back out?
As far as the women's tag team division right now, it does seem like they've taken a lot of individual stars, obviously not the Bella Twins, but a lot of individual stars like Rhea and Io that are both over very well, and just put them together as a tag team. Charlotte and Alexa, you put them together as a tag team, and it's like, it's good. It is good for the tag team division because people love those characters, and at some point it creates a story in the future for them to go at it, because that's what ultimately is going to happen for probably most of them. Rhea's eventually going to face Io again and actually beat her for once. You're going to get, Charlotte and Alexa probably sooner than later. It's probably going to happen, and so, the Bella Twins, I don't know. I think Brie was like it was kind of a nice thing for her to come back. I'm not 100% sure she's back for good. I mean, I think it was more of just this is our surprise for you. Here she is. I don't know if necessarily she's going to be back for long term. If she is, then great. I mean, the tag team division will be better with them because the Bella Twins were great together. I was never really a fan of them individually, as individual wrestlers. But together they worked really well, even early when they were, doing the switch outs, to fool the refs and stuff like that. Right. Because they look obviously almost identical, when they want to. So it's like, if you get back to that for like one last run with them, that'd be kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, I mean, tag team division's in good hands for now, until they start breaking them up,
Yeah. And speaking of tag teams and maybe breaking up, we can't finish out the Rumble without talking about the winner, Liv Morgan. Earlier in there, a few before she won it, throws Raquel Rodriguez, her tag team partner, her Judgment Day stable member, out. And I'll kind of go around the room, and this will kind of be the last point on the Women's Royal Rumble. Where does Judgment Day go from here? Is this finally the implosion of the Judgment Day, or do they make up? And how does this play out, Lady Alpha?
Well, I think that Raquel losing tonight was kind of setting her up for the win tomorrow. I think that's where they're going with it. Liv and Raquel at WrestleMania. I don't know if it's going to implode Judgment Day on the whole, but it will definitely break Raquel away, in my opinion.
Michael, do you agree with that, or what do you think happens with the Judgment Day?
Could not have said it better myself. I was talking to Tori after that happened. I said, this sets up exactly what should happen. And it's either going to happen and we're going to be happy with it, or it's not, and we're going to be disappointed because we book it better all the time. It writes itself. Raquel wins the women's title, and she's mad at Liv for throwing her out of the Rumble, and Liv challenges her. It's the Batista Triple H storyline from back then of you've got a choice. You can go to either one. Which one are you going to go to? Oh, no, I'm going to face you.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What's up, Sped? If anybody, that's Nick Carosi. That is Sped with his government name on the YouTube. That's good, brother. Appreciate you stopping in. I hope the family's doing well. And really the other side of that, we talked about, Raquel, we talk about Liv. Brian, I'll put it to you as kind of your last word with Bobby asking, what does Roxanne Perez do? Does she go with Raquel? Does she go with Liv? What's next for her?
What's funny is you were coming to me next, and that was going to be my question, because I agree with both of them. When of course it looks like, Raquel's got to win tomorrow night. I mean, it wouldn't make any sense, in my opinion, for them not to, right? And so I don't think they're actually going to switch. No, but I think Raquel continues to stay heel, right? Like she's got to, but I don't know how they turn Liv face unless they're turning Dom face. And I don't know if they want to do that, right? So it's like, how are they going to do that? Now, I do think the match happens, obviously, but you're right. I don't know where Roxanne goes. Does she just leave the Judgment Day, or does she follow Liv and just kind of be in Liv's corner, kind of be her, like partner, in crime? Because she's obviously not going to be tag teaming with her. She's going for the world title, which I think Liv will ultimately win at Mania. So, I mean, I don't know. I do think Roxanne sticks with Liv, though, throughout this.
Okay. And I do hope Roxanne breaks off. Sped actually mentioned mid-card title. I would love to see her in that IC title hunt after, Natty and Becky get into it, which is another story that we didn't even really touch on. They kind of played it up a little bit, the whole IC title with Maxine, Natty, and Becky, a little bit with eliminations, but it wasn't a huge focus. I'm definitely interested in a lot of stories coming out of this Women's Royal Rumble. While it may have been underwhelming as far as surprises, everything, I think we get a lot of good things coming out of it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure.
The Liv
next up,
the biggest pop for me in the whole Women's Rumble was Liv throwing Raquel out. That was, in my opinion, the biggest pop. I mean, I think we probably all saw it coming, but just to see it happen was great. So.
I mean, not for nothing, the loudest pop was, we mentioned it was Brie Bella coming out, and it really had more to do with her husband and the yes chance than it did anything else. So
which I will say that started a trend that we'll talk about more in the men's, because I was really surprised. We did not shy away from mentioning AEW things tonight.
Oh yeah, I was going to get to that too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
You know where those kicks came from, right? Like we call them the it kicks now, but we get it. Like, holy crap, you just referenced Bryan Danielson.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. And then there's the Royce Keys of it all, which we'll get to.
Right.
Yeah.
Next up, we had AJ Styles putting his career on the line against Gunther. At the end of the night, Gunther makes Styles fall asleep and oddly enough, ends his career in Saudi Arabia in the middle of a Royal Rumble pay-per-view. We'll start with you, Brian, since you went last on the first one. What'd you think of the match, and do you think it's the right decision?
So I called this. I called that Gunther would win this one. That's who I picked, and I believed it wholeheartedly. If they're going to name him the career killer, you can't have him have that gimmick and then have him lose, because then it doesn't make sense, right? He's not a career killer if he didn't kill his career, right? So as far as the match it goes, I actually love the match. I thought the match was great. A lot of people are going to be upset by the ending because it's so slow, and Gunther just puts him in a headlock, in a headlock, like, multiple times over. But that's his gimmick. That's what he does. That's what he did to Cena. That's what he did to AJ tonight. That's what he's going to do if he ends up retiring. If we ever see Jericho, if he retires Jericho or he retires Brock, he's probably they're gonna let him put Brock to sleep, in my opinion, if they retire him. Like, that's his gimmick now, and you have to just understand. And so the match itself was great. I thought the match was great all throughout. Even the ending was great, in my opinion. But I'm a Gunther fan, so of course I'm gonna like that. I'm a little bit biased there. But,
well, I started with you.
yeah. I mean, but in the end, I think it's great. I love the fact that he did not put his gloves in the middle of the ring, because that tells you he's not done wrestling. He may be done in WWE, but he's not done wrestling. And we all knew that. We all said he's probably going to TNA, or maybe A&W, but probably AEW, but probably TNA. And he's going to wrestle
use some
more.
AEW. It's really good.
Yeah, he's going to wrestle more. And so I loved that ode that he didn't just put him in the middle of the ring, So.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next point to you, Michael. Where do we see AJ Styles next if he does wrestle again? Is it AEW, TNA, New Japan, as Sped says? Where do we see AJ Styles next?
Well, I think we know TNA is a definite. He's going to at some point go there, and I would think end his career where it started, right?
Yep.
Like that's the full roundabout it. I would love to see him in New Japan, and I think he could get like a per diem thing of like, hey, I'm gonna go there and have a big match. If if WWE's okay with it, not that he's under contract anymore, but I think he still wants to keep that relationship good. I could see him also doing the same thing with AEW of going to do something with the Bucks, just so they can have the one good match over there or two good matches over there. I think that'd be good too. I don't know if I see that happening as much. To me, that's like a 5% botch. He ends up over there, but he could definitely end up in New Japan and end up in TNA for the end of his career. Basically saying like, I'm not done until I say I'm done.
Yeah. And letting off of the question I had for you out of this match is I know you don't follow a lot of New Japan or AEW, so I won't put you on the spot there. Seeing AJ Styles retire 10 years in WWE, what do you remember most about his career in the WWE, and what moment stands out to you as far as AJ Styles?
Well, I only have this past like year and a half to look back on. I think the match that's gonna stick with me is, and I know it seems kind of weird because it's most recent, but the one with Shinsuke Nakamura, especially the end. I got teary eyed at with when they saluted each other and hugged and everything, and it was a beautiful moment. And good God, is that me?
No, it's Brian. Brian's cell phone has a little bit of feedback. You're fine, Brian. Don't worry about it. It's just we just need to know where it's coming from.
It got me, knocked me right off course. That's easy to do though. No, it was a great match, and that was a very beautiful moment, and I will, of course, remember that one of everything. As for AJ himself, I will, of course, remember that he showed up. He was there, constant presence, doing his thing. He was a workhorse, and he still has, I think he turns 50 in December, so he has almost a full year to get it all out of his system before he calls it quits. So what he does now is, well, anybody's best guess. And I will be watching to find out.
Yeah, and the one thing I don't like is a lot of people say, and we even heard it on our show, and I heard mentioned it, kind of more of a casual fan, and I get the point about him being retired in the middle of a Royal Rumble, not having a show built around him like we saw with Goldberg and like we saw with Cena. But I even mentioned to Michael on Twitter on a post that he did right after the match, I think this is actually the perfect send-off for AJ Styles in WWE. It's almost 10 years to the day. It's 10 years. He was 2016 Royal Rumbles when he debuted. Oddly enough, really wasn't paid attention to because we were focused on Roman Reigns at the time when his music hit. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. Fast forward 10 years later, he's in the middle of a Royal Rumble in his retirement match, a show not built for him like John Cena. And that's the interesting thing to me is him and John Cena have always been compared because their careers have been parallel. John Cena has always been the flashy, big name, out in the spotlight kind of thing. And AJ Styles is exactly what he was tonight. He was the workhorse behind the scenes that nobody really knew about unless you knew wrestling and you knew the independent scene or TNA. That's just who he is. So I really think with him going out the way he did, he didn't tap out like John Cena. It's kind of the antithesis of that story as well. He was forced to pass out. His body just gave out on him. Kind of the anti-story that we saw with John Cena. I really think that this turns out to be the perfect way for AJ Styles to end his WWE career. And I'm for one, and while I'm sad to see him go, I'm excited to see him, whether he pops up in TNA, which is where I think he goes, or AEW or New Japan. I'll definitely be watching. Because as Extreme Chick says, I still think he has a lot left in the tank. So send off to AJ as far as WWE. Congratulations to Gunther for continuing your dominance, and we'll get to him a little bit more later on tonight or today. Really not yet. It's still weird watching this at 1:00 in the afternoon here in Alabama. I was like, I look outside. It's like it shouldn't be daytime during the Rumble here. But anything else anyone want to add about that match? I know we talked about it a good bit.
I want to piggyback what you said a little bit, just to say AJ and John both said it in their sit-down interviews that AJ didn't want the flashy. He didn't want the countdown. He didn't want the year-long road tour. So, yeah, you're right. This is perfect. Him being snugged in the middle of 2 Royal Rumbles, it not being focused on him, and it being kind of a surprise, even though it's kind of not. Like, I think that was perfect. That's what he said he wanted.
Exactly. And then the most appropriate thing, it's a match that pretty much stole the damn show. Because it was an amazing match.
It was a great match, yeah.
Hey, Mike, I also wanted to say, I think you were absolutely right. I've heard a lot of people say, well, he didn't get a retirement tour. He didn't get a retirement tour. Yeah, he did technically. Like it just wasn't flashy. Like they didn't like he's saying they didn't promote it out to be a retirement tour. But ultimately, that's what it was when he had these matches with Shinsuke and had these matches with with everybody else. It's like that was his retirement tour.
Yeah. Like I would even throw his match with Cena in there as well.
Yeah, we were watching it the whole time. Like he said it last year that ultimately he was close to being done. I mean, he mentioned it on air, so it was kind of like he did mention that his career was coming to an end and he was almost done, with WWE. And we kind of went under the radar almost as far as his retirement tour. But I love it. Love AJ Styles. Love everything he's about, and can't wait to see him in other shows and other organizations.
Yes, sir. Perfectly said. Lady Alpha, anything to add?
Since we all talked? I agree with all of you. I didn't, like I said, I don't have a lot of experience with him, but it just doesn't seem like the flashy type. Exactly. He's very understated. I hope I'm using that word correctly. I kind of think that the whole tag team run that he did with Dragon Lee was kind of maybe his way of, disguising some of the matches from his, as Brian said, his retirement tour. He got to wrestle all these big names and all that stuff. People from his past, people he's wrestled before, but he did a lot of that as a tag team, and it wasn't focused on him. It was focused on the team, and it just seemed fitting. Everything about this past year with him has seemed fitting for his retirement.
Very well said. And we will jump in real quick. Episode 3 of Point Taken, one of Sped's shows on Sped Rock, SP3DROCK over on Twitch, is now up on the YouTube channel, so you guys can go check that out. That is the one that features Lady Alpha's co-host, Autumn. So make sure you guys go check that out. Point Taken, a really good show. If you like Around the Horn on ESPN, it is a very similar show to that. It's just in wrestling form. And Sped does a great job hosting that. So thank you for putting that up there. We appreciate you, Sped. Moving on to the WWE Universal Championship match. Drew McIntyre against the ultimate underdog, Sami Zayn. If I've heard it once, I've heard it 11 times that he has never beat him. Michael, what'd you think about the match?
I hated it. I hate getting my hopes up that maybe they're finally going to do something with Sami, and then within the first 5 minutes, they hurt his back. And that's going to be the story for the rest of the match. After that point, he got decimated by Drew. Why did we do this? If you looked at that crowd, if you heard that crowd for Sami, they went insane. To go back to Gorilla Monsoon, they went banana over that boy. And we let him just get beat down. And is he ever going to get just that touch of the belt? I don't think he's ever going to be face of the company, but just to hold this, have a little prestige so you can have it on your resume. It's nuts. I hated it.
All right. Brian, do you agree? Were you underwhelmed by the match? Did you not like it? Did you enjoy it?
I mean, I know that's part of wrestling, right? They like to always enter in an injury somewhere, right? An injury, right? And I mean, and that is the unfortunate thing. It happens in damn near, it seems like every match almost. But, not putting that aside, I didn't hate the match. The match itself, I thought was a pretty good match. It's a typical Sami Zayn match. where he's, he gets beat down. He fires up and he's going to hit a haluva kick, and it's going to be 1-2 kick out, on any of his big matches. And then, whoever he's facing is going to ultimately, beat him. I mean, to me, Sami Zayn it's weird. It's almost like they don't want to continue doing an underdog story because they do it so much. And it's almost like they've done it so much that they're like, sorry, Sammy, but we just not going to do it for you, because it does seem like there's a lot of people out there that would love to see it happen, because people love underdog stories, right? Like everyone loves, Daniel Bryan going out and winning, and, hell, even Jey Uso until he won it, most people were all in it. And then once he won it, they were off of the bandwagon. But hell, even Cody Rhodes and Roman Reigns, people were all for that. I mean, all for that. And then once he won it, and after he was champ for a little while, people got old with Cody and they were done with him, right? I feel like Sammy, there's a half the community that just can't stand him. And then there's half of them that are like, I really want him to win gold because he deserves it. To me, I think Sami Zayn puts in a shit ton of effort. He's one of those guys that puts in tons of effort and is there all the time, does a lot for the company. I think you reward guys like that. You should, and he's not your typical, wrestler. He's not your Randy Orton built wrestler. And so it's fun to see those guys win a championship from time to time. So, yeah, I don't know. The match in itself, I didn't think it was a horrible match, and it was the right ending. It's what probably should have happened. I mean, Drew's going to be a better draw, in my opinion, at Mania, especially with the direction they're going with Fatu and Cody. So should be a fun triple threat match, but that's what I got to say.
Yeah, and Lady Alpha, I won't ask a lot. I know you and I talked off air, much like Extreme Trick, that you kind of tuned out to this match because of what it was. And I'll piggyback off of what Michael said. Do you think they ever pull the trigger with Sami Zayn as champion, or do you think he's just kind of as high as he's going to go?
That can go either way, but I'm kind of thinking they're waiting until WrestleMania in Riyadh. And then that's when he's going to get his big win. It makes sense because of how popular he is there. And, the Saudis, the money guys love him, apparently. They do love him. And Sammy sells tickets. Everybody's in it for the money. So what better way to make the first WrestleMania in Riyadh a big Sami Zayn moment? You're going to draw in the crowd. You're going to, advertising. You got to think all along those lines. And Sammy is the big guy over there. Him and Roman Reigns. And we've seen the Roman Reigns thing. Sammy's not gotten anything. So I think if they're going to pull the trigger, it's going to be next year at WrestleMania in Riyadh.
Okay, that's a very good point. Me personally, my thoughts on the match, I thought it was a decent match. I've never been a big Sami fan. For anybody who's watched this show for any length of time, I've never been a huge Sami Zayn fan. I do think he is kind of that, and I'm not comparing styles, but he's kind of the same type of level that a Kofi Kingston was for so long, where we don't ever think he's going to win a title. And like Sped said, the stars kind of have to align, and injury has to happen where he gets thrown in, and we have like a Kofi Mania, and maybe next year in Riyadh for WrestleMania is that perfect timing. So I don't know if they ever pull the trigger, it's going to be because of a lot of outside factors, not because they think he's going to be the guy. So I hate that for Sammy because I know he does put in a lot of work. He's obviously best friends with my favorite wrestler, Kevin Owens. So I do have a little bit of an interest in him, but yeah, I just don't ever see him as that guy being the ultimate champion. And I don't know how the crowd will react. To Brian's point, we've seen so many times where people want somebody to win that championship, and as soon as they do, they're like, okay, now we're done with that. So very interesting points there. And really, the only thing left to talk about is the men's Royal Rumble match. We will move on to the main event, which I will very selfishly call the Obafemi show. Obafemi comes out number one, gets a grand entrance, gets to do his poses. Everybody chants his name. Everybody knows who Oba is. So those NXT people, they did get some chants there, and Oba was one of them. Braun Breaker does come out second, and all of a sudden, I see a lot of people saying it was Seth under there. A hooded figure comes out, attacks Braun Breaker, stomps him, throws him in the ring just for Obafemi to eliminate him very quickly. And we'll talk about just the opening segment before we get into the rest of the match. I'll start with you, Michael. Do you think it was Seth Rollins, or if not, who? And what did you think about that opening segment?
I don't think it was Rollins. I had my own theory, but I'm going to take my partner's theory because my co-host texted me something, and I love the idea. It was Finn. The Rumble was full, and it was because they took up all the spots. I love that idea.
I had not thought about that. That is a shout out to Tori, who again couldn't afford the talent, but it's good to get her opinion here every now and then through Michael. We appreciate that. That is an amazing idea. Brian, do you think it was Seth? Do you think it was Finn, or who did you think it was under the hood?
So no, it wasn't Seth. Here's why it wasn't Seth, because Seth Rollins is all about Flash, all about the show. If it was Seth, that hood would have come off. 1,000% that hood would have come off. Like, they're not going to wait till Monday to be like, oh, that was Seth. No, that was not him at all. And I haven't even thought about the point that it could have been Finn, because I wouldn't know where they would go with that. But it does make a ton of sense, because if you're going to have him, do that, it would be for him to enter, right? Like, he would want to enter because he took out someone, right? So it's like, why did he do that other than to just mess up Braun Breaker's chance, I personally think that it's Austin Theory. I think it's Austin Theory. He looked exactly like him, same hooded figure. I think he's a double agent for Seth, and I think he did that to take out Braun Breaker. So, but yeah, that to me, that's what I think it is. I don't know when they will show who it was, but I think it's going to be pretty soon, and maybe it doesn't happen until Seth comes back, But that's just my opinion. So.
Yeah, and I agree with that. I thought it was Theory as well. I've said since Austin Theory came as the hooded figure and was named that he's always been working with Seth behind the scenes, and they were going to make the grand reveal when Seth was healthy enough to come back, which I don't think is right now. So I personally, that's my thought as well, is it was Austin Theory, and then he comes back later. I agree. If it's Seth Rollins, I think when he enters the Rumble, I don't think he unmasks right then and there. I think whenever his number is called and he comes out and his music hits, he walks out in that same mask and outfit and then unmasks, just to make the grand pop. Lady Alpha, do you agree with that, or do you think there was somebody else under the hood?
I've got a lot of things going around in my head right now. I initially thought it was Seth after the stomp, but I started, some things were pointed out to me that kind of made it not Seth. But I had a wild idea. I'm loving both of Tori's suggestion and Brian's. But based on the recent happenings, wouldn't it be funny if it was Adam Pearce?
That would be funny. Actually, Herb actually,
I like that.
That's pretty funny. I'm not sure that the build. I think he's a little bit bigger than that guy was, but it would be hilarious. Like if
that would be hilarious.
Pierce, like it would be awesome. If that was him. If AEW and WWE were working together, that would have been cool. If it was Ambrose.
Yeah, that's mentioned. I think Extreme Chick mentioned that a minute ago.
That would be cool too.
But obviously, with him being under contract until 2027. Thanks, Stampede, for the contractual information. But what it did do for WWE is it gave a chance for Obafemi to have his spotlight for the first 20 minutes of this Rumble, where he basically got the Brock Lesnar treatment, threw everybody out. Lady Alpha, I know you're happy about that because you and I are both huge Obafemi fans. What did you think of Oba's performance throughout the match?
Oh, it was great. It was absolutely great. I was loving every second of it. And I said, if we could do that the whole Rumble, that would be fun. I thought, but of course, if you had been here with me or I had been on camera, you would have heard me yelling at him. Well, don't do that. No, get up, do this. Because I wanted him to win. I really did. Yeah, I'm not happy with the way that worked out, but I am very happy with the way he showed out. Very proud, very proud of him. And I want to see more. I can't wait to see more.
Definitely, I agree. As a huge Obafemi fan, I've been since day one, and I will say the theme for the men's the men's Royal Rumble to me, and as I'll go to you, Michael, after this. I wish Big E would have been on commentary because it was all about big meaty men slapping meat through here.
They made him set it at the pre-show.
He did. They got him to say it there. So I wish he'd have been at the commentary desk because we get that even more a few picks in when we get the debut of Powerhouse Hobbs. They actually say Powerhouse Hobbs on the Tron and then changes over to Royce Keys. What did you think about the debut of Royce Keys, Michael?
Oh my God. Well, and then Michael Cole, the run through the entire time he's in there is talking about how he's big from another company. He has history with Cody. Like, they were not shying away from anything about his past. And it does look like they're going to go hard on him having a rough upbringing, because that's one of the first things he said, of how his upbringing was rough, which I know that's what Royce, now we're going to call him, I guess, that's what he was trying to do at the end with the whole Book of Hobbs thing. He was trying to, shine a light on his past and use that as a character. So hopefully they stick with that. I think it was a great showing. I know there's going to be a lot of people that are complaining because he, got thrown out, not quickly, but like he didn't have a long showing, but he showed a huge upside, throwing people around and getting to go eye to eye with some of the biggest people, the big meaty men thing in the Rumble. I do kind of wish I would have got to see him and Lesnar a little bit, though. Like, I wish just a little bit longer so I could have seen that. But
yeah,
but no, I think it was a great showing for Royce.
Perfect. We also got to see a lot of other big meaty men moments, but we'll get into those in a minute. But I'll switch over to you, Brian, as someone who has an affinity for masks, as we learned on Thursday nights. I will switch gears a little bit. There was a lot of AAA presence. We saw Mr. Iguana. We saw La Parka come in. And then we saw something that we talked about on Thursday. And I think you may have been the one to bring it up first. We actually saw the Spider-Man meme in real life. El Grande Americano comes out. And then right after, the original El Grande Americano comes out. What do you think of the segment? And where does it go from here?
Yeah, for me, that was one of the bigger pops for me personally, just because I feel like that the one thing that the Rumble missed on this year was there wasn't almost every Rumble. There's like a hint of comedy to it, right? There's got to be a little segment for comedy, and I guess this was technically it, but to me, it wasn't like your R-Truth type comedy or your oh boy falling under the ring kind of comedy. Like, there's always something funny, but that was one of my favorite moments, just not because I called it, but I was like, I love Chad Gable, and seeing him come back and as the original. I think you probably go to a mask versus mask maybe at one of the pay-per-views. I don't know if it'd be at Mania. May not.
I don't think it needs to be at Mania.
Yeah, Yeah,
I don't think it needs to be. That needs to be at like Triple Mania. That would be
right. Hell, it might be at Backlash. Honestly, it might be that soon. So we'll see. But that was great. And if I could comment on Oba, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
I am just like you. I love Obafemi from the very beginning. He since he came on scene in NXT, I was like, this dude's gonna be legit. And then when he started doing promos, I was like, man, this guy's really good at promos. Like, this dude is solid. Like, he's gonna be really good. And I loved what they did with him in the Rumble. I told you, Lady Alpha, that he wasn't gonna win. I didn't expect them to let a rookie win, no matter how big and bad they are, or how much they promote. However, I did say they were gonna give him a hell of a treatment. Like, he was gonna throw a lot of people out, and they couldn't have done that any better, in my opinion, as far as like just showing his dominance and just dominating people left and right. I did like the little small we got of Brock Lesnar and him. I wish we'd have got a little bit more of that. But man, yeah, Obafemi's going to be great from here for a long time. And he will be in the world title scene before we know it. So soon.
Yeah, and you mentioned Brock Lesnar, and I was going to go back to Lady Alpha. I know, again, the love you have for Oba is probably only matched by the disdain you have for Brock Lesnar. So I knew that was a very interesting time for you in the match. I don't want to focus on necessarily him eliminating Oba, although I think that is interesting, and I think it will lead to something in the future. I want to know more about what you thought about Brock Lesnar's elimination, kind of being under the radar. Jey Uso's music hits. We're all yeeting. Everybody in the crowd is having a good time. And lo and behold, you kind of see in the corner of the screen on the run back that Brock Lesnar just kind of gets thrown out. Do you think that was a miss, or do you think that was on purpose by WWE production?
I honestly don't know. I want to think that it was on purpose. I'm kind of disappointed that Oba wasn't the one to throw him out because I would have loved that. Maybe because there had been such a fuss made about him coming back for John Cena's retirement tour. Maybe that's why they decided to keep it really low key. Because they were getting a lot of backlash for bringing him back. And it's, again, fitting. It's fitting. He honestly shouldn't really be there. I know he hasn't been convicted of anything, but he's involved in some way. Yeah. And he shouldn't have been there. And I think this is WWE's way of just kind of taking a lot of the flash of him being there away. And
I was thinking I would actually take it a step further. They had it at that specific time because the crowd is cheering and chanting "Yeet," and they're basically cheering the moment he gets thrown out. So it is kind of a very ironic way to do it, because it's not just when somebody normal comes in and the camera just pans. They specifically have the camera on him getting eliminated while the crowd's going crazy and chanting and yeeting and everything else. I thought that may have been even more deliberate from Triple H to put it out there, going, okay, we're gonna kind of rib Brock a little bit, even with everything going on. Michael, I see you nodding your head. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Yeah. I hope it was deliberate. I thought it was beautiful. I popped so hard that the camera just barely caught him going over the top. I do also only just wish it would have been Oba, because that's what I called, was him coming out and Oba tossing him. I think that would have been even more funny. But yeah, him just kind of unceremoniously being dumped out while we're running back a yeet, which, by the way, is insane in itself that we're running back a yeet in the middle of a Rumble. But whatever. But yeah, I loved it.
And yeah, as people who follow it a lot, I'm always interested to see how the casual fan follows the Royal Rumble and everything. And I meant to mention this when we first started talking about Obafemi, but I'm actually in a group text with Herb and Raj, who you guys saw last night on our Wrestling for Dummies show, and it was funny watching the beginning. Everything kind of happened the way it did. And to hear a casual fan really follow along in how they describe it, and to put a little backstory in our text thread, Raj actually kind of texted and said, "Hey, I missed the beginning of the Royal Rumble. What happened?" Because Herb and I were talking about it, and I want to read to you guys the exact text that Herb typed out. I lost it. So Raj actually happened. What happened? I missed it, and these are his exact words. Braun Breaker was promised by the Scarlet Witch in the vision that he'd win the Royal Rumble. Then he was out at number 2, got jumped by totally not Seth Rollins in disguise before the match, and was thrown into the ring where Black Panther's older brother eliminated him in which I think was the perfect example, a perfect explanation of what happened at the beginning of this match. That I don't know that any professional broadcaster, Jim Ross could not have described it any better than that. So
Right.
shout out to Herb and Raj for keeping it
My God, the
entertaining.
Black Panther's here. My God.
Yeah,
I
that was
wanted to definitely
choice.
shout that out.
That's pretty fantastic. That's great. That sounds like Herb and Raj right there.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah, so if you're not watching the Herb and Raj podcast as
Yeah.
they were on our show last night, make sure you guys are tuning in every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock for the Herb and Raj. They will actually be live later tonight at around 8:30ish for their unhinged show, which is a lot more fun. Not that the main show on Wednesdays is not fun, but definitely go check them out. And we appreciate them being special guests on our Wrestling for Dummies every huge PLE that we have. So we go from there, and throughout the match, there was a couple things. We mentioned El Grande Americanos. We mentioned La Park. We mentioned some of the other things. Royce Keys making his debut. And then we get to for the lack of a better term, the real meat of the match. Cody Rhodes is in there, and all of a sudden, Lady Alpha, you mentioned, here comes Roman Reigns. Like Roman Reigns does, making his grand entrance and ends up winning the whole damn match. Michael, do you think that's the right decision, or who did you think should have won?
It's hard to say that Roman's not the right decision. And I hate to say that. I do understand the fatigue of him just showing up and winning things. I do agree with that thought. But when I'm looking in the ring and I see the story that they just built with Drew and Cody, by Drew taking care of Cody's exit, I see Roman in the ring with Jay. We already went with Jay, and we saw how that went. Like, where we were at that moment, Roman was the right pick. I do think some people earlier in the night maybe could have lasted longer and took that spot, but at that moment where we were, yeah, Roman was the right pick for that.
All right, Brian is as the resident Gunther fan. He was part of the final two, and honestly, the final four was rather impressive. You had Gunther, you had not Brock Lesnar. You had Roman Reigns, I guess is the new Brock Lesnar, kind of as far as how he's treated. You had Randy Orton, three bona fide legends, and lo and behold, you had Logan Paul in there with the rest of them. What do you think of the final four, and do you agree with Roman Reigns winning?
I mean, it's a good final four. Honestly, once Jay went out and Cody went out, I was okay with anyone winning at that point because I really just didn't want to see Cody win a third time, and Jay was just not the option to win again, and he won't ever win another Rumble, in my opinion. The only thing I don't like is when a Rumble is too predictable on the winner. Like, I do enjoy the Jay winner last year and appreciate it because no one saw it coming. Everyone in their world and everyone thought Cena was winning the Rumble, and they had everything predicted that, right? When you have sportsbook gambling stuff saying, "Oh, the odds-on favorite is Roman winning it," and then Roman wins it, to me it doesn't mean he was the wrong choice. In fact, with the four that were in there, he probably was the right choice to win that, because you could argue that Randy Orton, it could have been the right choice for him, and maybe he can go and challenge for his 15th or 16th title. Was it 15th title that he's going for? But I mean, ultimately, no. I mean, Roman was the right choice there. As much as, I mean, he's the star, man. He instantly has aura when he comes out, instantly. And I don't know what it is. It doesn't matter if he hasn't been on TV for 6 months. It doesn't matter. So, yeah, I mean, I know your boy hates LA Knight, right? And I actually called that. I thought Oba, they were going to show his dominance and he was going to eliminate all of the division. But lo and behold, it was LA Knight that pretty much almost eliminated all the division. Pretty close. And I was okay with that. Like, I was good with that. I wished he would have eliminated Logan too. They would have just let him eliminate all three. That would have been fantastic. But I think LA Knight would have been a great choice. As much as y'all hate him, I think he would have been a great choice to win it. Just at least majority of the community would have been happy about that.
Yeah.
I know y'all wouldn't have, or at least. Let me see.
Yeah, Sped wouldn't have. I don't hate LA Knight. I think he's a little bit much, but I don't hate Sped. Sped's the one that has the hatred for LA Knight.
Right. But I didn't expect Logan Paul in the Final Four. And
that was definitely a shock.
That was a shock to me for the men's, for sure. I didn't really get to speak on the Brock Lesnar thing, but I thought it was great. that the nonchalant. I'm gonna speak this just because I have to. I hate the run it back. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And honestly, one of my bigger pops, as much as the El Grande Americanos, was when when Roman was like, "All right, let's run it back. Let's run it back," and then he tries to run it back, and Roman pops him. It's like that was one of my favorite moments. It's like, this is great. Like screw running it back, man. I wish he would have got thrown out the moment he said, "Let's run it back," jumped on the ropes, and someone eliminates him. That would have been perfect, but they didn't do it. So
I have expected that to happen. Lady Alpha, I know you and I spoke before. I know you kind of mentioned the Roman Reigns thing. You're over it with him just coming in and winning. So I won't ask you about how you feel about that again. I do want to ask, where does he go from here? Does he go after CM Punk and continue from WrestleMania last year? Does he go after SmackDown, possibly Cody winning the belt back from Drew and going after Cody, or going after Drew? Where do you think Roman Reigns goes as the winner of the Royal Rumble?
I think he'll go after CM Punk because it's kind of different and not. I mean, I didn't, but y'all did the Roman Reigns Cody thing like what 3 times?
Yeah.
So he's got to have something. It's got to be different. So I would say he goes after CM Punk's title.
That definitely makes sense with the whole thing from WrestleMania last year and the double turn with Seth and Paul and everything. In 100% there. So that is pretty much everything that happened. I will go around the room, and I'd like to know what's your biggest surprise, your best. So 3 things, and I'll ask each one of you. And you can kind of go through each one. Your favorite moment, your biggest surprise, and your grade overall for the Royal Rumble. I'll start with you, Brian.
Oh, I would say my favorite moment was Liv winning. She deserved it. I was very, very pleased with that. That was great. I would say, what was the second one? Favorite moment, and then what? Biggest surprise?
Your biggest surprise, yeah.
The biggest surprise, in my opinion, was the Braun Breaker thing. Like, I did not expect him to get eliminated immediately, and didn't expect to run in there to hit him and then Oba to eliminate him. That probably was a large shock to me. I would have never predicted that ever. And then overall grade for the Rumble. I mean, it wasn't the worst Rumble I've seen, but it dang sure wasn't the best. I would give it like a C+, B- maybe, somewhere around there.
Right. Michael, same thing.
My favorite part, Royce Keys, like that. I popped so hard for that, just because our mutual friend, I get to hear a lot of like behind the scenes conversations with and about Royce, and so that's fun. Plus, the relationship that our show has with Amanda over in AEW, talking a lot about Royce too. Like that was my favorite thing. See him pop up and see them give him so much reverence to not just who he is now, but what his past and where he came from. The biggest shock to me was botch mode. I never would have expected Brie to come back. You mentioned Brian mentioned earlier that like he was never fans of them individually. I was never a fan of Brie. Brie always seemed to be the weak link in it. She always seemed to mess up spots. Not that she didn't try hard. I mean, good for her for everything she tried. It's just she never quite lived up to her sister. And so I was surprised that she came back. And now that's obviously started the rumor of like, well, Daniel's just right behind her. No, he's not. He's not leaving AEW. He's not coming back. As far as a grade, I'd say a B for big meaty men. That's
yes.
That's what I'd give it. As just a token aside, I will say another surprise to me is that this year the men's Rumble was as good, if not a little better than the women's. For the last 3 years, the women's Rumble starts the night and starts it at a very high bar, and the men's Rumble has always been just slightly under that. This year, the men did do a great job.
All right, Lady Alpha, same question.
Good gravy. Well, my favorite moment would be the Braun Breaker thing. It's about time somebody knocked him off his pedestal that he put himself on.
My number one pick, by the way. Thanks for all that.
Sorry. I know you picked. I'm sorry.
Although I will get points for him being the shortest time in the Rumble, so that does help, I guess.
Yeah, it does help. Goodness gracious, what was the second one again?
Most surprising moment, or most surprising, and then your favorite moment.
Most surprising for me was Oba getting tossed out. I mean, that surpassed even Brie Bella coming back. And just to touch on that for a minute, I'm not going to take credit for calling that, because I was actually on the EVP show and that subject came up. And someone mentioned that she was rumored to come back. And I'm like, well, that would be a shocking moment. So that's why I chose it as the biggest shock I thought was going to happen. As for overall grade, I'm going to go with B. Not for the same reason as Michael, though I do like that reason. But yeah, just a B. I think for me, I enjoyed all but the Drew and Sammy match. I was just kind of not into it. It wasn't that it was a bad match. I just wasn't into Sammy being in it. I love Sammy to death. I think he's very entertaining. He's very likable, his character. I think he needs to redirect his attention to something else. I'm bored with this chasing of the world title.
Definitely.
Hey, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Mike, hot take. Sammy needs KO. Sammy needs Kevin Owens, man. I mean, even if they're not participating, in a feud with each other, I feel like Sammy needs Kevin Owens. Like, they just work well together in every which way. I know they're like best friends, but Kevin Owens needs to be back if he can come back, if he can, at some point. Also, one of my favorites, 100%. By the way. Me to you.
Yeah. Michael, did you have something to add?
I was just going to say, I'm not sure it's entirely a hot take. If you look at it, Sammy's the Marty. Like, KO can be a superstar on his own. Sammy has trouble with that.
Yeah, I agree completely. So to answer my own question for everybody else, my shocking moment was definitely the Braun Breaker thing. Obviously, we talked about I picked him first overall in my pick because I thought he was going to do really well and possibly win. My favorite part of the night was definitely Oba Femi, Roll Tide. And love seeing his dominance and just them presenting him in a way that he should be presented. He should be a dominant force. I'm not saying he should win everything, although I'm saying he should win everything. But definitely coming out and not missing the mark on who his character should be, like they have done so many times in the past, especially with bigger guys coming up from NXT. And my overall grade, I would agree with you guys, is a B. I thought it was a really good Rumble. I thought the middle matches were good. I think AJ and Gunther stole the show, like I mentioned earlier. I'm sad to see AJ go, but I'm happy that he gets to do his own thing for the next year in his retirement. And yeah, I mean, it was a good Rumble. Wasn't the best, wasn't the worst, but I'm glad I got to enjoy it. I'm glad I got to talk with all of you guys. So thank you for coming in and being a part of the post show. Thank you all for being a part of the prediction show as well, the draft. Like I said, I will come out in the next couple of days with all of the scoring breakdown and who actually won the fantasy draft and who walks away with that WWE run-in crown. But before we get to that, let everybody know where they can find you guys on social media. Lady Alpha, ladies.
Well, I'm primarily only active on X at Lady Alpha KK, KAY. Don't shorten it. And on Tuesday nights, hopefully this week, we'll see. We come back from a 2-week hiatus. Tuesday nights at 6 Eastern, 5 Central. And that's pretty much it for now. Our socials, the Wrestling Divas podcast, you can find us on YouTube. And all of our socials for the show are in the bio.
Make sure you check out their merch. As she is very professionally modeling that shirt that has an amazing logo. I don't know who made that for you guys, but they did a really good job.
Just this guy I know. He,
But no, definitely check out their merch. Support that channel. We hope to see them back Tuesday. I know there's been a lot of transition personally going on with both of you guys. We've definitely missed seeing the Wrestling Divas podcast every Tuesday night. Brian, let them know where they can find you on all your socials.
Yeah, I'm primarily only active on Twitter as well. So at Sooner25411. That's pretty much it.
Eventually, I'm going to get you to start a podcast about something.
It's all wrestling and all OU sports and Thunder. OKC Thunder. So that's all it's about on my stuff. So.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yep.
And again, I'm still mad that you tricked me with the mask on Thursday, but I'll get over it. Appreciate you coming in tonight and supporting the channel.
It's all good. I mean, my picks were horrible. I was too overwhelmed by the mask, and I didn't do well in my predictions. I got a couple of the match. I got the little matches right, and I got the women's Rumble right, but I failed on the men's really bad. So.
Well, I mean, I don't know. My initial look, I think 2 of the women you picked didn't even show up. So I'll have to go back and double check. But
that's possible.
I took an initial look.
Oh yeah, I got the.
I know one was Stephanie Vaquer, and I know she wasn't there.
Yeah, that was a horrible pick. Honestly, I blacked out. After I said it, I was like, "Crap, she's the champion. What am I doing?" So that was my mistake.
You're living the gimmick, sir. You were living the gimmick.
And speaking of living the gimmick, Michael, let us know where they can find you on socials and where they can catch the show.
You can catch the show's Twitter at Kicking Out at 2 PC. Unfortunately, the original Kicking Out 2 was taken by someone who hasn't posted a thing in 3 years. Twitter, do something about it, please. You can catch us everywhere else on YouTube, on Twitch, at Kicking Out at 2. You can catch me personally at Horror Wrestling. Make sure to say that very slowly, Horror Wrestling. If you do something else, you'll end up on the other side of Twitter. And you can catch my
That sounds like a bad choice that somebody had to make. They had to either horror or wrestling. I don't know.
Choices had to be made.
Look at you, Val Venus.
What about Sunny? I didn't say that. No.
It was pretty sunny today. It was snowing here, but it was sunny while I was doing it. So that's a very accurate meteorological forecast.
Or if you want to follow the talent of the show at Tori Henson 76, catch her. She's a ton of fun too.
Yes, and thank you. You can catch me at _Big Mike 27 on all socials, the Running Wrestling Podcast, or at Big Mike 27 on YouTube. Check us out every Thursday night, 7/6 Central for the Run In. You can also check out our Twitch channel, SB3DROCK. Where you see Point Taken and Good Morning IWC. Good Morning IWC normally happens on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. Point Taken normally happens on Saturday at 3. Today it will be, or this weekend it will be Sunday at 3. So make sure you go check out Sped on those 2 shows over on SB3DROCK on Twitch. And that leads us to the final word with Big Mike. We do it every Thursday on the Run In, so I will do it here now. The final word for Big Mike for this episode is future. We saw in this Royal Rumble that the future is bright with the WWE, whether it was a current NXT person, whether it was a recent call up, or even a couple of free agents coming back. We love to talk about the legends. We love to talk about all the big names, but the future of WWE could not be any better than it is right now. So make sure you guys are checking out NXT, check out Evolve, check out AEW, check out TNA. Look at all wrestling because that's where the future comes from. It doesn't come from what you see on Mondays and Fridays. Comes from what you see every other night of the week. So make sure you enjoy the future of wrestling. That way we all have a future together. Thank you.